Rydo, and we're back to another stream of Magic the Gathering Arena. Today is Wednesday, January 15th, which means, as we re-roll this 500 quest, that the expansion mastery, the whole new expansion and everything, starts in exactly 13 hours from now, which, looking at my central time, that means 5 in the morning tomorrow. So if I was really just going to stay up till 5 in the morning, which I could probably do pretty easily, then we'll do a special stream just opening like 50 packs for the Theros Beyond Death expansion. I'm not super hyped on this, but it seems fine. This is weird that they're pushing this again. This deck I don't believe is any different than the deck before. Maybe I should just double check my Prime Loot account and just make sure that they're not giving yet another deck, another rebuilt deck of cards, but that'd be nice if it was. As for my mastery level, we got to rank 131, so we're at minimum here doing that. If anything, it wouldn't have been a terrible idea to just wait one more day and not even do the daily quests. And so I guess if we get through all the news and these daily quests aren't done, it doesn't really even matter. The only big thing is Brawler Days is ending for this card on January 16th, so basically tomorrow. Basically tomorrow, and then a new Brawler Days is coming in, and the Brawler Days unfortunately are like pay $12.50 effectively, or the equivalent of such, to get a commander card that probably doesn't matter and be able to play the brawls, which I haven't even been playing the Wednesday brawls because they don't reward you with anything, and I don't want to play Rank Draft Dominaria, but I do want to play this, or more accurately, I want to purchase this and sign up for this so that in the new expansion I can play this and I should be fine. Because this event, sign up ends in 11 hours and 44 minutes. So the only thing I could imagine is maybe the sign up ends and I sign into this, and so that this might be a screw job here where this sign up ends as soon as this, and I guess that's what that means, because this also says sign up ends in 20 hours, which would be right when this event ends. So yeah, it would be a mistake to spend the money on this because I wouldn't be able to get the experience towards the next mastery level, and that's the only thing I'd really care about. Let's look at the store quickly. This is kind of just a wrap up at the beginning of this video. Apologies for that. These cards that are on sale, these card skins that are on sale, probably some of that is going to go away for new card skins that are going to be on sale. Now, old packs don't get any cheaper. Now, inherently, this is the problem with Magic Arena compared to like the real world Magic, that there's literally no fluctuation in the prices digitally. The oldest card set of Galaxian here, which is not playable in Standard, cost exactly the same amount as the card set here to buy the most recent expansion until the next expansion comes out. And you don't even get, you get 90 packs here for 1800 gems, where you get 90 packs and two of these commander cards in the more recent ones. So the deal gets progressively worse as you go back further. It seems like, yeah, the first two Jalaxian sets did not have a bundle where everything else comes with 2 commanders. So that's not really a great deal. This spend $100 to get 2 different cards is a slightly different deal for Beyond Theros, plus all of this other stuff. It's not worth it. Court Knight bundle here would just be skins. Then you have skins. Almost certainly all these skins are just going to be cycled out. No discount on avatars, which avatars last forever, and no real discount here, it seems, for sleeves, but sleeves also last forever. Frankly though, if you have more than one sleeve that you even care about, you're joking yourself. And then we've just got more skins here. And pets incredibly expensive too. So yeah, the store probably will look different with the new expansion slightly, but I imagine a lot of things still will be on sale, and they'll still try and get as much money out of you. Let's hop into a game. Let's see, what are we trying to do? Just play ranked, I guess. Play a little ranked, see if we can win, if we're go out with some victories probably with these decks, and then build some new decks and see how those play in the new expansion tomorrow. Although I don't, if it's anything like a Hearthstone expansion, what can be expected is it will be a particularly long video that maybe I guess maybe we'll rebuild the decks and make separate videos for that, but maybe not. I'll have to think about that, and we'll have to get back into the deck editor. What we don't have right now is anything that lets us see the cards. That was something Hearthstone would do, is that usually within a week you could look at all the cards and get somewhat of a general idea of what the cards are. They were sort of moving away from that in Hearthstone also, but it does seem like unless I can look at the Theros cards right now in the collection, it seems like those things will not unlock until the expansion unlocks, which that probably just saves me time in the long run. Because then I don't make videos, and that was a problem with Hearthstone in particular, is that when these expansions happened, I would spend that they were usually pretty successful videos, but I would spend a lot of time like doing card pack opening videos, and then a deck rebuild video for all 9 of the hero classes. Since there's only like 6 colors, red, blue, green, black, and white. That's 5. Yeah, since there's only 5 colors, then that would be 5 deck rebuilds instead of 9. Although, in all fairness, there probably is enough room to make 15 deck rebuilds if I had more skill and more intelligence when it came to Magic, because the multicolored or 3-colored decks would potentially make sense instead of what I'm mostly playing right now, just standard single color decks. But you have to have the standard single color decks, because if you don't have them, then you'll have a much more difficult time getting the daily quest done. So I think it's most reasonable that you would have have a single deck that you would play for ranked that might be 2 or 3 colors, and then you would have 5 single color decks. And it's kind of funny that there isn't really a system here where you're encouraged more than the daily quest to play single monocolor Magic. It doesn't seem like there's really any special drafts or tournaments or anything like that where you can only play one color and one color only. And you would have thought that that would have been something at least that would have existed at some point. And if I could just get more land, which does seem to be a problem that happens with this deck, is that it is at least one land short. Go ahead and attack with that as well. So what else to talk about? Plans for tomorrow with the new expansion, which probably means I want to have a abbreviated experience today. For the most part, yesterday was videos were uploading. My server was power went out as it was resilvering / scrubbing the RAID array, which means it's checking for errors and copying data to new hard drives to replace other hard drives in an array format. The power went out, so that reset. Because that reset, it took the computer at least 6 hours to just boot up. It is definitely not in a good position, but there is a small bit of hope that a small bit of hope that if it fixes everything, I can actually get this back into a steady position. But it does kind of feel like either the connection I'm using is broken, or the port I'm using is broken, or the hard drive itself is broken, which if it is the hard drive, it's one of my biggest hard drives that's broken, and that would stink. I've lost here. Yeah, there's nothing saving this. As for the accountability section, I spent most of yesterday programming, trying to get my programming code on the network side to work. A lot of the day I spent with it just not connecting to the DNS server, which was just because of the power outage that my router has to be reset manually on some settings. It sucks, but I can't figure out a way to stop it from doing that. The settings, it just has to do with encrypted DNS crypt, which is kind of an abandoned idea at the moment, in favor of DNS over TLS and DNS over HTTPS. Yeah, the new cards are not listed, so it seems for Magic there is no way to see the new cards before it happens, which that is fine by me. You need to play creatures with green and white spells. So, let's try green, I guess, and just regular play. But yeah, really beating my head against the programming, a part of the programming that I had kind of taken a long break from, and coming back to it, I'm still really having trouble with it, and it really does seem like it is more just a problem of text manipulation than anything else. It sounds like it should be a fairly simple thing to say, if this line of standard text says error 301 or error 302, that's a HTTP error to redirect to a new thing, and it really is just like a function. Like some real basic stuff is not working. It should be working, and that's the weird part, is it really should be going in a loop, and it's not going in a loop, and it's also not ending. So that probably means somewhere, almost certainly, there is a loop that it's getting caught in and just going forever without providing any feedback. Which is, I mean, it's just really basic bad programming that seems to be happening there. But otherwise, there's not a lot of progress being made on that day. It seems like more and more as I get into this project, there's some good days and there's some bad days. And good days you can make a massive amount of progress, and bad days you can make no progress or even negative progress. And it often makes me wonder, like, if I was working in a programming field, and I think this probably varies all over the place. I imagine there are some programmers that can spend a week and not accomplish anything, and then I am certain there are some programming jobs out there where you are micromanaged through the wazoo, and they have you mark and indicate and like record every single thing you do. And that's not untrue for other kinds of jobs either. There are definitely some jobs out there where you're spending more time logging in what you're doing than actually doing what you're doing. And I probably would not tolerate that very well, personally. Like that's kind of how you know a manager is not really is either justifying himself or not really walking around looking at people. And some of those systems where you log into like a group ticket system, for instance, it does seem like there's a lot of possibility there for unscrupulous co-workers to claim that they did something instead of you. Like there's been at least 2 situations where I could easily believe but never saw any real evidence of that other employees who weren't really working were potentially just going into the ticketing system and putting their name on projects they didn't do anything on. Like you see that in school too, is group projects where one person doesn't really do any work and then takes the same amount of credit. Alright. Yeah, we'll take the Gift of Paradise. But yeah, as far as the programming I did, it not a lot of progress there. I did start to think a little bit more about the SQL-like database that it will have to be in, and whether I want to try and use someone else's example code or just make something from scratch. And I could also jump over and try and put in the Bluetooth feature I wanted to put into it. But I did all of a sudden start running into a problem where the amount of the amount of space that my program was taking up is bigger than what is considered a small project in Arduino, which means my code is probably but there is fortunately a way to kind of reformat and take up less space. But that does open up a potential problem where my code may just be getting too big for its own use, the program itself. And that might, I don't know what really put it over the edge, whether it was just one more header file or whether it was just my code in itself. At a certain point, I don't know if there's a great way you can compress it even smaller. Probably not, if I was to guess. Right. This has trample, so if I was to play this right now, I could get 4 things on the field, which I don't think I really need to do. Let's not do another season of the growth, because you kind of don't need that. There we go. But yeah, it would be a mistake to do the Bluetooth programming because that really is a secondary feature, and I'd like the device to be close to fully functional in its first feature first. Its main feature. It and then do the Bluetooth stuff. And I might have to jump through some hoops to use the internal hard drive or reformat the internal hard drive, because I am installing it as a big project now instead of a small project. A lot of the space is being taken up by the Arduino bootloader, which, best of my understanding, is the big switch there if I went from using Arduino C++ to MicroPython. MicroPython probably would take less space. Although, honestly, I am not really sure if the library support for MicroPython is there. So I could imagine certainly that it became a big deal or a lot more difficult to switch it around. I've kind of already committed to one thing, moving over to MicroPython. Python in itself is not what I'd recommend as a secondary language to C++. C++ is just much older and more complicated because of that, and complication might actually be what you want in programming. I would say learn Python first and then learn to hate C++ after, because certain things won't work. Python's newest version has added a walrus feature. A walrus symbol is what they're calling it, which is a colon and an equals lines that combines two lines of code into one, just to make the typing even more simplified, which is good for keeping good, well-written code, which I think is probably overemphasized on Python as easy to read, well-written code over instead having code that, let's see, can we do 5? I say no. We probably can do 4. And then double that. And then we'll toggle that. And then just do nothing. Yep. Yeah, Python's a good learner language, and you can do a lot with it. It's not one of these languages that's not really a language at all, and it's not like the Snap IO or whatever that is called, where you're dragging a Lego box left and right or anything like that. It's not like a kid's programming language, but it is a good one to learn in junior high or early high school, then move on to C++. But C++ or iterations of it like C# possibly have that benefit of just being so old and so used that it makes sense that that would just always still be something. Let's see. Alright, I have 2 cards, so what I'm gonna do is just attack with everything and decide what they want to do. See if he wants to block. I probably have a victory because I have growth cycle. So I can put growth cycle on that one. And or I could put growth cycle on that one. Alright, so who do I want to keep alive? Let's keep alive the bigger one. There we go. It also, I suppose, the fact that the program is taking so much space does mean that if I was to put anything more in on it, it would have to be really, really simple things. There isn't a amount of room there that a secondary function could be as big as the primary functions, which that's kind of saying a lot. And this is the program room that's running out, not the RAM room. RAM room, it will probably run out just using using it all up to get a web page and process it, or get very close to it, hopefully not actually run out. Well, they brought that back. That sucks. I got like one hit with that. And we don't really need land. Okay. Gingerbread can't be blocked. Next, all attack. Yep. I guess I could also sacrifice this to gain 3 life, but I don't need to do that. Speaking of the programming and all, like, I still have like 10 games 10 videos that I need to upload, so there's definitely room, maybe Saturday, in which, like, I guess I'll be taking mostly a break from programming today, tomorrow, and Friday, because I'll be streaming, and after that, let's see, I can tap this. That's all I can do with it. But yeah, on Saturday then I upload some more videos, do some more programming, and then it's time. It's well past time. I need to get back to recording. I need to play several games, schedule several more things, and get back on track to being a YouTuber primarily and making pre-recorded content. That being said, like series like Rhyme are airing on my channel right now, and they get no views, and that's how it's been for at least a year too. So stepping back is a logical, smart thing. It's just kind of the Lego videos get some views, yeah, because I've, I guess, built up a consistent pattern with that, and people like Lego games. The card game videos kind of get some views, but a lot of the games I cover, yeah, they get nothing. Well, this sucks. Let's see, is there anything to take from this? Not really. That's a expensive card to do all those. So it's destroy a artifact, creature, enchantment, land, and planeswalker. So just one of each type. But yeah, I do still want my channel to have footage. At least 2 things airing daily. But certainly there have been a lot of YouTube channels that barely do anything, even one thing daily. A lot of channels that are getting down to the point where they're barely doing anything even on a weekly basis with any consistency. And there are some possibilities with it now being, until they fix their little ad thing they put in, it is pretty much impossible for me to listen to the Beastcast, or the Bombcast goes on Giant Bomb's YouTube page. The Beastcast doesn't seem like it does. At least I've yet to find it. So even last week's, like, I didn't hear it, which is fine. So that's somewhere between 4 and 6 hours a week of podcasts that if I just am forced to not listen to, that saves me a lot of time. My ability to multitask while listening to a podcast is somewhat good, but not that perfect, so it probably does slow me down a little bit. We do have a decent amount of news today, and I guess we probably should do that. I would say one thing about Magic Arena is, even though they're like tweeting out streamers who are doing things, they're really not doing enough to really hype up this new expansion. People that know about it. People that don't. And meanwhile, there, I believe, is at least one Might and Magic game MOBA that is coming out, and we'll talk about that when I get to that article. And there is a Magic the Gathering game coming out that is not a card game, so that'll be interesting too. This is taking forever. Really just taking forever. And all I need to do is 6 more damage, but I don't know how I'm gonna actually have that happen. But now would definitely be the time to just work our way towards... Yeah. There we go. This is what we'll do. We'll just let him attack with both, and then I'll attack with both, and I'll win in a couple turns. And if necessary, I'll start eating food to even, like, save myself. Because I know there's probably a card in here somewhere that would summon a giant if I ate for food, but I clearly don't have enough of those. Like, I should take the victory. Of course, now I'm in trouble because he can attack with this and this and still have a 7 character. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Get a job. Heart Machine is hiring an associate producer. Heart Machine is in Culver City, California. I believe that's a new name for maybe an old company. Yeah. Or it's a name of a company that really hasn't done much, but they are in a position where they might actually do something in the future. There we go. So, next article, TechRaptor has this. Ubisoft just announced a Might and Magic Battle Royale. Now, what's interesting about this is Ubisoft has been all over the board, kind of not wanting to make video games. So, them announcing a Battle Royale game starring characters from the Might and Magic universe, of which I don't think there really is any named characters in the Might and Magic universe that are particularly too interesting. The Might and Magic puzzle game that I played a long time ago is had some characters in it, and they were interesting characters, but they weren't really part of any bigger storyline. Developed by Paris Ubisoft and Ubisoft Bordeaux, Ubisoft is taking units from the Might and Magic franchise, and then Tech Raptor has blocked out and violating its grave, putting them in a auto battle or battle royale title. Alright, which, I mean, they need to do something with the Might and Magic series, I suppose, and they didn't have anything smarter to do, clearly. So I can't say I particularly hate this idea. Each match will include 99 other players, including a player for an even 100, and last 10 minutes as they fight in a metaphoric death around to the metaphoric death around the globe. It'll be available for PC, iOS, Android on January 30th. You can pre-order the title. I don't think it's free to play from the looks of it. And looking at the game, it does seem like it's probably pretty simplistic for what would be a like MOBA game, and not simplistic enough for what a battle royale game would be. You can kind of see everybody seems to have a health and a mana bar. This is clearly made for thumb access, but there's a shop here, which means you're probably earning in-game currency, or you're just tapping on the screen to control all the characters. The layout here is a little weird, actually, and this is just the auto battler, which maybe it is. The idea that your thumb would rest so easily on this large shop button, if that was an in-app purchases, would be pretty crazy. And then this looks like a level up button. And then these characters don't look recognizable to me. If there is some deep Might and Magic lore, it's totally beyond me. Let's see. I'll take that, and that. I swear, if I actually succeed here, that would be crazy. This would be insane if this somehow worked. Like, I don't hate the idea. I kind of hate that that's the only idea that Ubisoft seems interested in. But yeah, it's not a terrible idea for them to do something with the Might and Magic series, and they've failed miserably with the Might and Magic series in the past decade or and a half, I would say. Like Heroes of Might and Magic 3 Gold Edition, which is like the 4th or 5th repackaging and re-release of Heroes of Might and Magic 3 with just more content. That it was a super long game. I used to play it for quite a lot. Super long game, very popular. But Heroes of Might and Magic 4 wasn't well received, and then 5 I think was sold as episodic things. They really were experimenting with episodic and DLC type content very early, before that was even a thing, and it did not work well. It was not received well. So they have this series now that I don't think they can do too much with. Right. So we're gonna block, or do we want to attack? If this, and then this, and then. But he only has to get one through, so I kind of have to hold off. This has trample though, so I'm gonna have to block this with like all 3. Gamasutra has an article here. Square Enix is shutting down Mobius Final Fantasy after 4 years. So I can't really assume that that was a super successful mobile RPG. There's a lot of spin-off Final Fantasy things that Square Enix has kind of failed to do anything with, particularly when it tries to be something other than a single-player RPG that's super long and super big. But certainly still a lot of possibility. Yeah, the fan base of Final Fantasy is... Yeah, let's just go ahead and concede. Save ourselves. Still has some fandom for at least a few of the games. But a lot of the things that have Final Fantasy slapped on them could easily have been not Final Fantasy games and tried to stand on their own. And if they had approached those projects from that concept from the beginning, then it probably would have gone better for them if they'd given more kind of creative freedom. If the games don't have to have chocobos in them. On the other hand, this is just kind of probably a prime example of the upper management meddling with the development of games in Square Enix, and that's why Square Enix is not doing as well as it should be. Like, it really should be at the top of its game, and it really isn't. Not have that one. Moving on, TechRaptor has an article. The Chinese strategy title Banner of the Maid is coming to the West in February, which might mean it's actually a good game, or it might just be a case of it might just be a case of TechRaptor covering a unimportant game just because. Let's see. Here is Banner of the Maid, and the animation does look interesting and consistent with the thumbnail, which is interesting. It does look like it is a strategy placement game with a little bit more consistency than what you would see in most bad strategy placement Chinese games. There's still a ton of text and a ton of numbers being shown, but this has a lot more polish than what I've seen in the past. That being said, a $16.99 game being localized to English is probably not a great experience. Hey, I've got something new in my inventory. Let's see. I have 25% off Light Matter, the game I put on my Steam wishlist from last stream. I would say Steam doesn't give off enough coupons, and that's probably Steam game creators' fault. That if they actually did give out coupons every single week, there would probably be enough games out there that I'd have a discount on when they went on sale, that I might be able to double up on the sale and a discount, which probably doesn't even work. But you can certainly see how, if such a thing did exist and work, that would be appreciated by people. Like, if they started taking more of a grocery store approach where there is weekly sales plus coupons plus double coupons, because that is kind of the way a lot of the games on Steam are going, is that they are bottom of the barrel, 69-cent products, as much as a in the same vein as a something that would be on sale at a grocery store. Right. Let's not double up on season of growth. And then no attacks. TechRaptor has an article here. Moons of Madness console release has been pushed to March 24th. I guess I'm kind of bearing the lead, but yeah, the Sony is not going to be at E3 2020 either, which honestly it just seems like that's more arrogance on the part of the new people in charge of arrogance on part of the new people in charge of Sony. Instead, they're saying that they'll be going to hundreds of events instead, which hundreds of events can mean basically anything. But it certainly doesn't speak great for E3. It doesn't speak great for the PlayStation 5 launch. It doesn't look great either way. It would be kind of funny if this hostility, or this seemingly hostility that exists, actually turned into outright hostility between the ESA and Sony, and games started having trouble getting approved or getting rated, and then all of a sudden the PlayStation 5 doesn't even have games that are rated by the ESRB, they're instead internally rated by some other company. That'd be a strange twist of events if something like that happened, and I doubt it would. But yeah, the E3 has problems, and Sony knows it, and Sony is not helping E3 be better, and the ESA who runs E3 are not really doing a lot to make E3 better. I still feel like E3 kind of needs to exist. Like, if everything just goes to the Germany-based Gamescom events, that's gonna be weird, and you're gonna lose people who don't want to travel outside of the country, or smaller presenters. Let's see. Do this, and then autopay, and then do this. Craft another food token, and then go ahead and use this to attack with this. We'll talk more about E3, I guess, a little bit later, if we have an article. Gamma Sutra has an article here. GameStop stock tumbles by 16% following poor holiday sales. I almost would say, if GameStop is guaranteed to still be in business by holiday, Christmas 2020, now might be the time to buy up their stock, and in the assumption that their sales will go up at least a little bit during the release of the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. That is, of course, gambling on the bottom of a stock, which is extremely dangerous to do. I'll take that. Stick with that. But yeah, I can only imagine two things happening with GameStop. Hostile takeover begins, because now it's it's really low, and or it comes up at least a little bit. Like, I still don't think that holiday 2020 people would be buying, the vast majority of people buying new consoles would still be would be buying it through a online storefront, which would be the only other option, or through like Walmart or something. Green. This. Done. This. Can't do this. Alright, but I can do this. I'm gonna do this one, this one, this one, this one. We'll see what we can accomplish with that. Probably nothing. Let's see. Let's see. GameStop stock price is now down 24.5% from the start of the year. I'd like to actually see if I can find what it's actually trading at. Let's see. Let's see. GameStop stock. Right now it is trading at $4.61 on the New York Stock Exchange, down 0.1%, or $0.1 I guess, or 2.12%. It did have a bit of a spike. It seems like it spikes up and then it spikes down, going as low as slightly above $4.55 up and spiking up to $4.70. So yeah, it's still a far way to fall to be delisted or anything like that. I think they'd go into bankruptcy or something else much quicker before they'd be delisted, and it still probably is not cheap enough that somebody would try to do like a hostile takeover. Green or white spells. Let's spice things up and play a white game, and then we'll go back to ranked play. Next we have a game on Steam called Wizardry Labyrinth of Lost Souls. It's a dungeon crawler, obviously. It does seem like it has a decent number of characters being shown on the sides. Almost looks like an iPad game that's been ported to PC more than what could easily been a cell phone game ported. It does seem like it's pretty generic fantasy with some characters. There's nothing here tagged like sexual content or nudity, which the game kind of feels like it would have that. It's $13.49, English and Japanese. My main problem here is that this is a dungeon crawler RPG that doesn't seem like it even automates things, so it would be doing a lot of the same thing over and over again. Let's just put that away. So yeah, I don't feel like Wizardry Labyrinth of the Lost Souls, which is kind of a generic name also, probably stands above the rest as far as other dungeon crawlers, and I'm not sure any dungeon crawler is really worth playing. Alright, I think we've got this. if this guy can't be killed, we've got everything I think we need. Techraptor has a review here for Simulacra 2, which looks like a full motion video game, which, and I have failed to really cover any full motion videos, even though I bought quite a lot of them. Which, yeah, again, that becomes part of a problem. Let's see. It doesn't actually look like it's full motion video. Actually, it looks like you get into a cell phone with some, and that's where you spend the most of your time, is just looking at a cell phone. Comparing it to the Evil Within 2. They gave it a 6.5. Simulacra 2 is an improvement on its predecessor, but there's further to go. A tighter narrative and better interface design doesn't quite compensate for sketchy writing and silly horror. Pros are excellent interface design, some very effective horror moments, often tense and exciting. Cons are sometimes veers into self-parody, even uneven, inconsistent writing, and some hammy full motion video acting. Let's see. So we've got pacifism and pacifism. So this guy could just wear us down at this point. So I guess Simulacra 2 not good enough to make it. Next we have a game on Steam called Ayahuasca. That sounds like a Native American word, if I was to guess. That's a... oh, I mispronounced it. Looking at the video here, it does seem like it's a bunch of trippy light show. Which I can't say I hate the graphics. I just kind of hate that this is an inconsistent game that's not really telling me anything. It's a virtual reality film in which the participants are immersed in visions triggered by a dose of ayahuasca. Yeah, it's a Native American drug. I probably have heard that drug before and just haven't seen it written. $12.99, English full audio, and a bunch of other languages claiming to be full audio too, which probably guarantees that it's not really full audio and it is instead just someone speaking Native American or making sounds. So not a game, and really just a virtual reality equivalent of taking a drug trip, which is probably a poor comparison to actually taking a drug trip. So I don't think that there's real reason to do that. Ayahuasca might be one of those Native American drugs that can be extremely potent. It might be the one that like really makes you go insane for like 5 minutes and then you're back to being normal after 5 minutes. But I doubt that translates to being in VR very much. There have been some sci-fi stories certainly where you people simulate a high or get a high just by wearing headsets and visual flashing lights and such. So yeah, I could kind of see at some point something like that happening, but that would certainly be an interesting concept to experiment with in a society. Is that if you're getting high just by seeing flashing lights and you're not getting addicted to it chemically somehow, would that be a perfectly acceptable thing, or would puritanical thinking people still be against it, and almost certainly still be against it? Alright. Well, I'm losing. So if I attack here, that won't work. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Hilarity Experience, which looks like it is a horror puzzle game. Graphics look nice, as so many horror puzzle games do. Seems like you kind of are using your phone almost as like a ghost scanner. It's $13.49. It's English full audio with French, which is an interesting combination. And yeah, even though we know that there's a lot of horror games out there, and this could easily be an asset flip horror game, it looks polished enough to at least deserve a follow, so I'll put it on the follow list. Let's see. Do I want to block somebody? No block. Not really getting anywhere with this game, but fine. See, there's definitely a problem. If you're playing a white deck, you're probably getting matched with somebody who's playing a white deck, which means both of you have pacifism, which means you're just gonna be outplayed unless you play it absolutely perfectly, which you probably won't. And let's see if we can go one more turn. Not that that's gonna really help. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Basic Warfare. Graphics don't look particularly good, and so I'm immediately uninterested in it. $6.99 English only, or $5.99. Yep. Game of Sutra has an article here. Monster Hunter World Iceborne's PC release has been pushed it past 4 million shipped units, which, yeah, Monster Hunter Iceborne is succeeding, which is, I suppose, nice to hear, but not super useful information. It would be almost certainly a mistake at this point if I was to try to jump in and play Monster Hunter World. I don't have time for it, I don't have enough commitment for it, and it's not relevant at all. But I do think the game, Monster Hunter World, is probably the best Monster Hunter game so far, and that they're set up a very good stage where they can succeed with their next series of releases if they continue going for a more simplified Western facing style game instead of the more complicated versions of Monster Hunter that have existed before. TechRaptor has an article for the Resident Evil 3 Nemesis trailer, which it's just obviously a video thing put out, which, yeah, graphics still look good on the new engine, and it is just a teaser trailer. They're in a weird position because they basically said functions and parts of the Resident Evil 3 are going to be missing or different compared to the original, and then they didn't offer anything new to replace that, so I don't know how they fix that. Let's see. Yeah, they need to announce new features and not just put out a teaser or a trailer. Gamatsu has an article here. Sonic Ages, Sega Ages Sonic the Hedgehog 2 includes Knuckles in Sonic 2. An update on the 2018 announced Sega Ages release, which I think that was capable of being done. Like in the real world, originally, I think you could always put the Knuckles pack on any of the Sonic games, except for like Sonic Spinball, and it would change the character to Knuckles. Like I don't think that's really just a problem of how they have been packaging and reselling old games. Yeah, at this point, I just don't know what Steam is doing. I think they've probably abandoned their previous system. I have not gotten a single victory either. I would like to get victories, so let's just play regular play and see if we can actually win with our regular deck. But yeah, it seems like they've abandoned their system of holding back and releasing adult games and matches, and it seems like now they are just coming out every day like every other game and being treated normally, which in a funny way, as much as I bash on Valve's crazy libertarian way in which they run a capitalist business, at the very least now they would be if that is what they're actually doing, now they would be acting consistently and not doing something different. On the other hand, this game, Neomorph, which is tagged sexual content, is really showing anime characters that at least on the scales of anime, look like older characters, and this looks like it is a bullet hell shooter with just a lot going on here. So perhaps the graphics here, because they're not going with the Moe art style, got this approved pretty quickly. By the way, a new trailer for Honey Pop 2, now titled Honey Pop 2 Double Date, came out on Honey Pop or Honey Dev's YouTube channel. I think it's just the Honey Pop's YouTube channel. This game is 59 cents, bunch of languages, bunch of achievements. I imagine not really anything of interest, just a generic shoot 'em up game that they're trying to sell. So, sorry, went quiet there. As I was scrolling through, there's a Hackaday article talking about the current state of video game emulation on the Raspberry Pi 4, which, generally speaking, I would say it's getting better every day. Can't really say much other than that. It does seem like it's getting better every day with better code. I wouldn't be surprised if out in the blue somewhere around April a Raspberry Pi 5 got announced, or I would prefer to see a Raspberry Pi Zero upgrade come out, and I think the Raspberry Pi Zero upgrade is probably more likely to happen because if they're going to change anything there, they probably are going to be forced into putting more RAM in it, because they said they were having a hard time finding smaller amounts of RAM, as the creators of RAM chips are just using more and more of their making them bigger and bigger by default. It doesn't make sense to make smaller versions. So yeah, you could check out that Hackaday article if you want to, and I'm going to, but it's a little too high level, complicated to really cover. Most people would probably not be interested in it. Next we have a game on Steam called Taxidermy, which seems to be a dark screenshot horror game that centers somewhat around a dead deer. But yeah, this looks like it's an asset flip, low effort dark screenshot game. $2.99. Again, being compared to The Evil Within. It's like subconsciously the world is trying to get me to play The Evil Within 2, which wouldn't be a bad idea, but I've already kind of covered my horror games for even second Halloween. Like, at a certain point, I don't want my channel to turn into I play nothing but horror games at all times. Yeah, Taxidermy is $2.99. Claims they have full audio, but yeah, it does not look polished enough to deserve to be on the follow list.
Time to turn up the heat.
Looks like I'm probably doomed. So what can we do? We can block this, and we can block this. And then we can play black and put that on the field. Well, I've lost. Next we have a game on Steam called A Mustache in the House, which looks like it's a bunch of asset flip, low effort game, 3D shooter, maybe? I don't know, it doesn't even really show 3D horror game. $9.89. They must just be broken at this point, or maybe just any horror game or any game tagged horror now is going to be recommending The Evil Within, which is silly, because then you look at the recommendations here and it's like, play The Plague Tale, play Resident Evil, play several games that are way better than A Mustache in the House looks. Well, that'll speed things up if Gamma Sutra is down. Yep, Gamma Sutra seems to be down, so we'll have to skip their articles now. Seems like it just went down. Yep, we are not doing well. An hour and 20 minutes and not a single victory, not anywhere close. I imagine there really won't be a lot of gameplay tomorrow. Possibly we'll just do a 50 pack card pack opening and then some deck rebuilds and maybe one game, and that's it. Yeah, it seems like Steam doesn't want to load either. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Phoenix Games has acquired the promotion software and emergency developer 16 Tons. So I don't know Phoenix Games. I don't know any one of those other companies that is saying something. This is funny because this is coming up as a bit of a news article, but then you have related jobs listed below that, which instead of related articles, which would make a lot more sense. It almost gives the direct bit of implication that Gamasutra is becoming so focused around people looking for game dev jobs and game developers themselves that they don't even care about random people looking at their articles anymore. Jeez, I wonder if my internet has just decided to mess up. Well, as far as it looks good. It's just every page I'm going to now seems to be not loading. So what can we do? Oh, we've got a game that we have. That's not working. We've got pages that aren't loading. If I have to reset my router or anything, that's going to be a problem. Alright, so let's start with Magic. Well, close Magic. And maybe even have to Control-Delete Magic. There you go, that took a while. Let's reload Magic and see if that's going to force me to log back in, which it probably will. Let's see if any of these pages will now start loading now that Magic the Gathering is down. Yeah, that would be the irony of all ironies, is if it turns out that Magic the Gathering was messing up my internet. Alright, well, what can I even say? Because if I can't get any of these pages to work, and my internet is just suffering trouble, which I think it is. Yeah. Oops, something went wrong. Alright, so my internet is just down as far as it seems. Probably my DNS server. Which maybe I could try something. But I mean, this will be an interesting experiment that will probably break this recording, but we'll see. So if this doesn't work, which there's a decent chance I won't, let me just wrap up by saying, as always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below on my in the description. And if you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. I think I just said that twice. If you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon also, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. So if that's where this ends, that's where this ends. Otherwise, let's see if this fixes it. Alright, so far so good. do believe that may have fixed it. Okay. Alright, that did work. Good. Well then, back to playing. My DNS crypt server, which I had to change because of the reboot, went down, so now I'm changing it back to a different server. Moving on, Gamasutra has an article here for Kickstarter and games in 2019. It's a blog. At the risk of reading a blog, it does seem like more and more money is getting through Kickstarter, although in all fairness I would say the number of projects didn't skyrocket in 2019. It skyrocketed in like 2015, and there weren't really any major Kickstarter games that were announced or anything like that. I would argue that Kickstarter has shown its obvious true colors of not being a great way to actually fund a game, but only being a good way to pretend like you're funding a game. Oh, and yeah, the Shenmue Kickstarter was a mess, and even the Bloodstorm, well, not Bloodstorm, but the Castlevania clone game from the director of Castlevania. While that was a major success, it also was probably the only big Kickstarter success, and it delivered this year, but it didn't really start this year or focus too much on coming out this year as a new Kickstarter. So yeah, I kind of feel like hopefully going forward there'll be a lot less Kickstarter games and a lot less people willing to kickstart games. As a YouTuber who has Patreon, I guess there's a bit of a bias there, where I prefer people to support YouTubers and content creators who are delivering in a much more timely manner, or just creators in general delivering in a much more timely manner, particularly since a lot of Kickstarter games are for games that should easily be getting funding other ways. They're not first-time developers or programmers. And that does kind of put me in a catch-22 where I really don't see the point. Let's attack with two of these. I really don't see the point of Kickstarter because I don't think it should be used to fund people that could get funding elsewhere, and I don't think it would successfully work for people gambling and funding indie games that are very likely to fail. I think the Patreon model probably makes a lot more sense there if you're going to support a game developer who's an indie developer. Although my own product that I'm trying to develop is like I could see ramping up and saying I'm running a Kickstarter here as a pre-order campaign to get like shipping and packaging and all of that funded, but yeah, that's probably not something I'd want to bother with either. Moving on, Gamasutra has an article. Gio Corsi is now Illphonic's chief product officer. Illphonic made Predator Hunting Grounds, which, okay, I don't remember a game called Predator hunting grounds. I don't feel like there's been a breakout successful Predator game in decades. We play this. We play this. We play this. We can attack with this and this, and we should be fine. Next, we have a game on Steam called Here Comes the Mystery Teens, which looks like it's a spoof on like Scooby-Doo, although these characters don't really look like Scooby-Doo characters as much as they look like they are just an assortment of like 70s or 80s animation style. It does look pretty like a pretty old way, but then it's also pixel graphics. $4.99 for what I assume is a, they're saying it's a narrative RPG, but I would assume it's probably closer to a point-and-click adventure. It might be something similar to like Maniac Mansion, which that kind of is the same idea. But looking at the controls here and looking at the price, they want $4.98 with no discount. I don't think there's enough polish here. See if this developer's made anything else. No. It's kind of a shame. The concept, I think, kind of works, but having to play a keyboard-only game doesn't seem like there's something worth that. In comparison to, say, The Cat Lady, which also is a keyboard-only game. The only reason I was willing to cover that game is because of the extremely large amount of like visual uniqueness there, and the fact that I'd seen other people sing its praises. And I guess if I heard other people say Here Comes the Mystery Teens is actually a good game that people should check out, I'd come back and check it out. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Sony's skipping E3 again in 2020. We already talked about this, but yeah, that's happening, which almost guarantees that Sony is out for good until there's some major changes at Sony, which there could easily be major changes at Sony rather quickly. Like, on the other hand, it is not atypical for a Sony in general, including the movie making divisions and every other division, to kind of make the wrong decisions and just continue to make the wrong decisions over and over again. Gamatsu has a similar article. Sony to skip E3 2020 will attend, quote, hundreds of consumer events instead, which hundreds is a big number to promise, and that really implies that a significant amount of those events will be incredibly small events, just going to a Walmart parking lot and showing off PlayStation 5 in like a 16-wheeler or something like that, like Nintendo has done in the past. Although taking something that they did probably when the GameCube was released or the Nintendo 64 was released and thinking that is the right way to promote your new console in 2020 is probably inefficient. Gamma Sutra has a kind of follow-up story on the GameStop. GameStop says its unexpectedly low holiday sales follows an industry-wide trend I don't think anybody is buying that though, because I'm fairly certain Walmart would throw them under the bus very quickly on that and tell them no, that they sold just fine as far as the video games they were available this holiday season. Particularly next holiday season also is lined up to be really, really good for video game sales, because there's a rumored new Switch, there's PlayStation 5, there's the Xbox Series X, there's probably decent amount of games in general coming out also this holiday season. The ESA has a statement on the E3 2020 announcement, which I heard someone read it out, and well, we can read the whole thing. E3 is a signature event celebrating the video game industry and showcasing the people, brands, and innovations redefining entertainment loved by billions of people around the world. So a bunch of BS. E3 2020 will be an exciting high-energy show featuring new experiences, partners, exhibitor spaces, activations, and programming that will entertain new and veteran attendees alike. More BS. Exhibitor interest in our new activations is gaining the attention of brands that view E3 as a key opportunity to connect with video game fans worldwide. And so the phrase activations, I think in this case, is being used to say that they are creating events that resonate with showing off new brands and new games, and that they're not as much interested in the old partners. That they're kind of saying, if I'm understanding it right, that E3 is shifting its focus to be the place where new game developers show off new games, and old people are just going to show off the same thing that they've already shown off at other events need not apply. Which, like, if you compare it to CES, the CES just happened. I saw very little footage of it, but it did seem like there's a lot of things from Toshiba and similar manufacturers showing off big concept car equivalent products, and they're not super interesting because they're either way too expensive or they're not something that's ever actually going to be available for purchase. Whereas I would argue at CES, the small devices, the Internet of Things device developers, the new companies that've got something new to show, those are the people that I think are in a much better position going to CES and showing off their products, and those are the products I was much more interested in. So E3 would probably be something more solid and better in general if it was AA developers and publishers and single A and indie publishers and developers coming and showing off games, and less Call of Duty, EA type games being shown off that can be shown off at their own thing. On the other hand, of the past couple of years where I've looked at the E3 presentations, those have been pretty major wastes of time showing off games that are 2 or 3 years away. AAA games I would have heard through the grapevine anyways. I would have totally heard about them. And you would get easily, even in some of the conferences where they're showing 60 to 80 games off, you'd only get like half a second of some small indie game, where everything else was pretty obviously a AAA game that you didn't really need to hear more about. Moving on, Gamasutra has an article. Call of Duty, Beat Saber, and Apex Legend led PlayStation downloads in 2019. Doesn't seem like... it also was GTA 5 and Minecraft and NBA 2020 and NBA 2019. So... for VR, Super Hard VR, and Elder Scrolls VR, and then Apex Legends beat out Fortnite and Dauntless. So there was like 3 categories that this title is boiled down to the top one in each categories, when the full article could have done better. Oh man, I didn't realize that was a discard. I really needed that. And you gotta pay attention. I will say, I think it's probably fair to say at this point that Hearthstone was a better game for me slightly, in the fact that I could ignore it and still know what I'm doing and not get tricked into actually accidentally discarding a card when I think I'm playing it. Like, and you could easily fix that. Just make me have to drag it to a side instead of clicking on it, or make me have to click an OK button, which I'd be fine with that also. Moving on, Gamasutra has an article. Sony Interactive Entertainment Product Development Vice President Connie Booth to join the AIAS Hall of Fame, which is what? I'm not sure. The American Independent Arts Studio, possibly? Let's see. If I was to guess, yeah, they don't even tell you what AIAS is in the article. That's not helpful, nor do they link to anything. Let's see. I don't think that means that she's leaving working for Sony, if she is still working for Sony, which she may or may not be. She'll be joining the ranks of Bonnie Ross, Todd Howard, Hideo Kojima, and many more. Which, so, yeah, that's kind of an inside industry type award type thing where, sure. Yeah, I've worked at some jobs where I probably deserve to win some more awards, and not just simplistic stupid things like employee or perfect attendance or something like that. But I never did. And they certainly don't really mean anything. And not until you get to the point where you get like an honorary doctorate. If you can get like an honorary doctorate and call yourself a doctor at that point, or a PhD, and pull some shenanigans there, you might be able to negotiate a better price, a better paycheck, but that's kind of it. Moving on, TechRaptor has an article. Magic Legends unveiled, launches in beta. It's kind of crazy that they're making yet another game when they really have failed to make Magic Arena work perfectly. That they're jumping into the deep end, and I don't think they have the resources for this.
What a mess I've made.
Although, I guess this is being made by Perfect World Entertainment and developer Cryptic Studios, so it's not even internal Magic. So this almost certainly would be the game that gets abandoned, where Magic Arena, if everything goes well, will stay as the This is just gonna kill me. That's all this is gonna do. It's gonna just keep on killing me. I guess I can put this on the field. It's gonna put me in a dangerous position. And I can't play this. Right. Man, I just lost due to my own stupidity. I just didn't know what those cards did. That's all that boiled down to, is I didn't know what those cards did. I didn't bother to look, and I lowered my health low enough to lose. Anyway, so Magic Legends, being third-party developers and publishers, probably the game that would get abandoned, knowing the history of Magic games. The title will be a free-to-play game. You'll be taking the role of a planeswalker in order to save the multiverse from a terrible threat. It looks to me like it is kind of a Diablo-esque RPG game, which Perfect World is kind of known for doing that. But I guess it also, if it's a MOBA, it's kind of a World of Warcraft type game. And it definitely is focusing on mobile. I would argue that this is probably not the type of game that you need to play in beta. And you'd probably ruin the experience for you if you did play it in beta. But if there are people out there playing World of Warcraft, that this might be something that pulls people away to play something different. Although, for me personally, it's like I don't care about World of Warcraft's lore any more than I care about Magic the Gathering's lore. So neither of those games sound particularly interesting to me. And yeah, there's a pretty decent chance I won't ever play Magic Legends. As a free-to-play MOBA, I might try it for like 5 minutes and that's it. Particularly if it's on my phone, I'm more willing to give it a brief experiment. Gamatsu has the similar article. Launches 2020 for PC, 2021 for PS4 and Xbox One.
Chandra,
Is it
you need
not
more
coming to mobile
control.
phones?
Just let me burn. Don't worry, I brought company.
So you'll cross various planes of the multiverse, which allows them to basically say they don't need to transition their levels and copy paste a bunch of other content from other games could easily be put in it. Also,
What the heck?
spells and collect spell fragments to make them more powerful. There's 2 classes so far that have been announced. You're going to need more than 2 classes for sure. It really does just feel like it is a free-to-play RPG that is getting Magic branding, which might not be bad.
They're so cute.
Bad as far as Magic the Gathering just licensing their product and making some money and not really caring about the product,
Let's get stoked.
which is, I suspect, what's going to happen here. And the irony of ironies is if somehow Magic Legends becomes the popular one and people are playing it all the time and not playing Magic Arena, they would definitely be peeved if that happened.
Hey, that hurt.
Gamma Sutra has an article. Forward Works is creating a new mobile game with Kadokawa and Cave Interactive, which I think I recognize those Japanese companies. Let's see. Forward Works made Wild Arms, Million Memories, Arc the Lad R, and No More Heroes Allowed. No Heroes Allowed Dash. Cave Interactive worked on Don Don Pachi, Ibara, and Kitsu Kizuna Jigoku Taichi, which are very, very Japanese sounding games, so I would assume that this is a Japanese mobile game. Also, Tech Route has a review here for Dragon Ball Z Extreme Butoden, which is a 3DS Dragon Ball game, which I don't know why you'd specifically be playing a 3DS game. 3DS XL with a download code given to them. Let's see. It will be a great filling for 3DS owning DBZ fans, but I imagine nobody else. Probably does give a bit of an indication if they're pushing this game right now that there's a decent chance that the next Nintendo focused Dragon Ball Z game will be on the Switch, and that would work. So how little life, how much little life do I want? There was also a patch that apparently is running around that fixes the netcode in one of the Street Fighter games, one of the more recent games, which apparently had very bad network code. I heard about that on the Bombcast and don't really have an article about it, so I guess you could just search it. It seems to work unilaterally on PC, so if you install it, it will improve your experience.
Dear. What's her name?
This, and then this, and this. And then put this on the field. And then play this. And put that on the field. That keeps my health up.
But you can't catch me.
Next, we have a game on Steam called Ravers, which looks like it's some kind of asset flip player versus player game. Yeah, it looks like kind of just a low effort MOBA. Online co-op, $9.99 English only. Nothing here visually interesting. In major part because it's all in snow and just a white background and a white ground does not look particularly interesting. Looks like it might be a tower defense game. Yes. I played wrong. If I'd done this instead, I probably would have won. Yeah, but I think I may still have this. Because we attack with this, and then this, and then this. I probably could have won had I played this and then gotten one more thing on the field. Would that have really worked? Yeah. No, doesn't seem like it. I may have played right there and not even realized it. Let's see. Just tap this guy, and then next, all attack. And get at least one freaking victory today. Yeah, you still kind of want 10 victories. You still get rewards. You still get experience. There's a possibility if I got 14 more victories today and just spent all day playing, I could get one more uncommon card. And it's not like an uncommon card is so worthless that makes it's not worth it. It really isn't worth it, but it's sort of worth it if you have nothing better to do with your time. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called MCAS Simulator, which I can only assume is like a simulator of running a airport or being an air traffic control person. It really looks like it's a bunch of asset flip things though, and it doesn't look particularly well visually polished. $11.99. The irony here is maybe this is exactly how the interface of being in charge of a airport looks, but that kind of doesn't matter to anybody. You would definitely want a better interface, even if it is a fictional made-up interface. I'm sure the airports would like a better interface themselves. Next we have a game on Steam called Exa, the Infinite Instrument, which looks like a VR just music toy experience, which we've seen these before. This is very positive, but requires VR and is $14.99 and is English only. Yeah, I'm fairly certain I've seen this one before, and it's just not probably worth your time to learn how to use a VR, effectively a music machine drum kit, when you would be better off actually learning the drums on the drums and getting the feel of that, or learning a synth and using a synth. Let's see if he decides to block. TechRaptor has an article here. BioShock Nintendo Switch Collection rated in Taiwan, which, okay. I guess that means BioShock is coming as a collection to the Nintendo Switch, which honestly for new releases of BioShock that kind of makes sense. They also, I think, are still working on yet another BioShock-esque game that will have BioShock in the name.
Together.
So that does sort of make sense that you would want to maintain some relevance and be in the minds of people. Wow, free victory. Don't get a lot of that. But it also would be kind of insane and kind of silly to go back and play BioShock on the Switch. Think about how those Joy-Con controls must work. Like, they must just work like a regular game with no pointing and no waggling. And if they don't work that way, and there is some kind of weird, possibly even better interface on BioShock, that would be really, really crazy. Like, if it made the game easier, that would be weird. If it made the game harder, that would be weird. If it makes the game different, it's going to be weird. And I'm not sure how many adults that should be playing BioShock really would want to play it on the Switch if they even have a Switch. Like, I wouldn't. I'd much prefer to just play it on PC, even knowing that maybe the PC version has some problems. Which I'm not sure it did have problems or not. I've already covered BioShock 2. BioShock 1, 2, and Infinite. Game of Switch has an article. Xbox is still planning to attend the E3 2020, which they own the stadium next door to where E3 happens. They have the naming rights to it, so of course they're going to have an event there, as it making it kind of an official extension of E3. And honestly, it just makes sense as a way of competing that it would kind of make sense to just have just be there, just to be different from what Sony is doing. But in all fairness, I guess you can make the same argument. Sony not going there is a way to be different from what Microsoft is doing, because neither one of them want to compete that much. I guess that's the idea there. Now, something weird is happening at this point. Gazillionaire, which we've already talked about at least twice, and it's already on my follow list, has once again shown up on what's on Steam. It's $14.99. It's English only full audio. This is a very old strategy market trading sim that honestly was probably impossible. So either this person is pulling some shenanigans to get it listed and delisted, or they are just changing the price all the time or something. I have no idea. That price is ridiculously expensive though, at $14.99. That is really, really expensive. And I would be willing to own that game and show it off for about 5 minutes, but I really wouldn't be willing to put any more energy into it other than that, because it is definitely a game that I was playing when I was much younger and would be obsessive and try to beat games, a lot of which many games are not beatable, not programmed well enough that you can beat them. They're just not fair or possible to win at. And I feel like Gazillionaire is probably a great example of that. Either that or I was just so bad at trading that that I didn't know all the secrets or didn't play right. But having already had that experience with it and been frustrated with it, I really would only spotlight it for like 30 minutes and then give up on it. All the while saying that it's a game not really worth playing, probably. Or a game only worth playing if you have nostalgia from playing it from the past. TechCrafter has an article here. Ministry of Broadcast brings Orwellian reality TV to Steam on January 20th. January 2020. Not 20th. This looks like a pixel graphics adventure game platformer more than what I was expecting. Interesting. Well, we'll see. maybe that'll be something interesting. We have about, I'd say, 15 more articles, and then we'll be done for the day. And this guy's playing the strategy of just getting as much land as possible and as many tokens as possible. Which my Bolus Citadel strategy might still work here. We've got enough mana if we can get these two on the field and just not be eviscerated. So if I leave him alone and he leaves me alone, I might be able to pull this off. So play one of those. Definitely play that first. Play that. And then no attacks. TechRaptor has an article here. Updated. Rainbow Six Siege Year 5 Season Pass has reportedly been leaked. Let's see what the update is. Let's see. The Season Pass have been confirmed in a comment on a subreddit. Okay. I don't particularly care about Rainbow Six Siege, so I'm just going to say if you're interested in this Season Pass 5 information, go seek it yourself. Honestly, I am surprised anybody's still playing that game. Next we have a game on Steam here called Eclipse Edge of Light, which looks like it might be an interesting VR story or an actual VR game. I kind of feel like it's probably more of a story. They say it's a puzzle space game, so there must actually be some gameplay here. But it's VR, it's $14.99, and it supports a bunch of languages. I'm going to put this on the follow list. It's been a long time since I've actually put a VR game on the follow list, and honestly I probably should get rid of some of the other things on the follow list instead. But yeah, I guess there's still an occasionally good follow list game, VR games coming out on some rare occasions. Fewer and fewer occasions for sure. Let's see. Open Critic has an article here. Square Enix has delayed Final Fantasy VII Remake a little and Marvel Avengers a lot. Although the Final Fantasy Remake is probably going to get delayed quite a bit, and the Marvel Avengers game is probably getting delayed to line up with a Marvel movie. If it is starring the Miss Marvel character, not Captain Marvel, then that character very well may show up in a future Marvel movie. It would almost make sense to get Captain Marvel as a character introduced and shown off in the universe to then, after that movie failed, just kind of ignore that she exists and have Miss Marvel's character, Camilla Khan, I believe is her real name, come in and be the new Marvel named character. You could even do a brief handing off of the torch scene as Captain Marvel flies off into space and is never seen again. Moving on, we have a game on Steam here that looks like CGA graphics. Trantor the Last Stormtrooper. Like, I don't know if this really was a CGA game or if it's just designed to look like one. Otherwise, though, it kind of doesn't look particularly interesting. It almost seems like it is a Star Wars parody. It is from Mirrorsoft, so I wouldn't be surprised if this actually is just a really old game. $4.54 discounted, English only. And Mirrorsoft is the publisher of, or Throwback Entertainment now. They do publish old games of lesser quality. Or at least that seems to be this chick. I had enough mana for Bolas Citadel, but I lost it. So now I need to play one more land and then get Bolas Citadel, so I have to survive at minimum 2 turns. And I would need almost certainly another Vindictive Vampire. Next we have a game on Steam called Wardwell House, which looks like it is a 3D scans of real locations to make kind of a walking simulator. But otherwise it looks pretty uninteresting. I think I could do better by if you were someone who could 3D scan, take 3D imaging, which that equipment's probably not that expensive, and then you had a really, really good location that you were going to scan and then try to put in a game. Why not sell that as potentially a Unity or Unreal asset and allow somebody else to think up a story and put a game in it, instead of what this seems to have done was really just slapped a walking simulator on top of it. And the game is free too, so you're really not making any money. Well, am I gonna lose if I don't block? Let's block that. Block that. Let's block that. TechCrafter has a similar article. Crystal Dynamics Marvel's Avengers snap to September. Referencing the snap in Endgame and Endgame 2, which honestly I think people are going to forget the events generally. That's not going to be on the top of their minds. What is on my mind right now is just terrible. Having a terrible day as far as victories go. The hardcore players are out, and I'm not even playing ranked, so it's not a great excuse. Gematsu has an article here. The Coma 2 Vicious Sisters for PC launches January 28th. It first launched in early access in November of 2019. I think I probably would play the Coma series eventually. It does look like it's kind of like a Korean horror style point and click adventure game. Yeah, I'm fairly certain it's on the follow list. See, this is kind of funny that I can't even look at my cards until the opponent looks at his cards. So there's just always this long pause at the beginning of every game, even though we also had loading. So they need to improve their servers and improve their netcode to reduce delay. Gematsu has an article here for Cook Serve Delicious 3. It for PC launches in early access in January 29th, which does seem like it is probably a more visually polished Cook Serve Delicious game where you're serving food and cooking. There might actually be something here that would interest me, but it all does kind of just boil down to a fast-paced mess. And I don't feel like these cooking games hit the same itch as playing like a WarioWare game where you don't really know what you're supposed to do, because in the cooking games you're supposed to get really good at doing these items, and effectively you are doing some real person's job, the equivalent of a real world job, which is not ever fun. So yeah, I don't see myself playing Cook Serve Delicious 3 any more than I'd want to play any of the previous ones. TechRaptor has an article here. Epic Games Store free games program will continue for 2020, which I guess wasn't promised before. It seems they are claiming to have 1/10 of registered accounts that Valve has managed, which I don't think that particularly means much. They're throwing some numbers out here. 200 million free games claimed, 1,455 dollars in total value, 73 free games. But also, I think you could probably say that the free games are going to be very different as they keep going forward. They will be less and less quality games, and they haven't been the most quality games even so far. A lot of the games are things that I'd never play, and I'm just building up a secondary collection in case my Steam account got deleted at some place. And I only started doing that after I got Control, and had to redeem that on the Epic Store. I wouldn't even have bothered to do that to even get any of the free games. So I am nowhere close to I'm not even a step closer to singing the praises of the Epic Games Store. It's still a garbage, unnecessary, pointless storefront. But I'll take free games. I'll make a backup just in case. I never play those games. As long as it's relatively easy to find the free games, I'll keep on doing it. Beggars can't be choosers, is the old saying. TechRaptor has an article. Final Fantasy VII Remake delayed until April. Of course, this is also the beginning of Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's not the full game, unless I'm thinking of a different Final Fantasy remake, which maybe I am. I'm doomed. Yep, another loss. Let's see how I don't lose here. Here we have a game on Steam called Bunny Park, which looks like a simulation gardening game for kids. This is probably too simplistic a game for me to cover, but I'm going to put it on the follow list just as maybe a kid's game that might be worth covering. You can see it's pretty positively received so far. It's $3.99 discounted. It's English only. So yeah. Bunny Park might be something. And if I can really rush through this, we'll be done in a couple of games. Gamma Sutra has an article, Join Disbelief as a Junior Programmer in Chicago, Illinois. No idea who Disbelief is, though. Yeah, it's pretty much where I'm going to leave these articles now. It's just like, join this company that I'm not going to bother to look up to see what they've done. If you're interested, check it out yourself. TechRaptor has an article here, Legends of Runeterra Open Beta starts January 2020. This looks like this might be one of those collectible card games that is doing something a little bit different. But yeah, I don't see myself jumping over to Legends of Runeterra. And I don't see a lot of people jumping onto Legends of Runeterra because it is an unrecognizable name and an unrecognizable brand, and we know that second dinner Marvel card game is eventually coming out, although based on the hiring listings they've been showing, it seems like they're not really that far, that close to coming out. And I suppose it is possible that the product that they release is a super simplified, like Pokemon trading card game style game that is just so boring that it's not worth an adult to play it, or it just has so few cards or so little content in it that it's not worth playing. And if I was to jump into it and then realize that it's boring after 3 months or so, then it would be kind of a struggle to go back and play Magic Arena. Honestly, at that point, I might just say, let's just get rid of the streaming altogether, or rethink how we stream. Next, we have a game on Steam called The Mysterious Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which is a hidden object game, almost certainly. They want $3.19, and it's a hidden object bundle. This was kind of the things people were getting kicked off of Steam for doing, though, is having a whole bunch of bundles. English only from HH Games. Perhaps what they're doing is not what Steam was objecting to, though. We never really got a straight answer on that one. Right, 1, 1, 4. We need a 1, 2, 3. This is late in the season, but we've got a game called Kill the Santa, which is an asset flip sniper game where you're playing basically Sniper Elite, shooting Santas, which doesn't make a lot of sense and seems to be just a troll game. $4.24, English only. I don't think there's any need to play that. I don't think that would get me too many views, and probably might even get me in trouble with YouTube if I tried to cover a game by that name alone on Steam, on YouTube. Play that. Go ahead and attack here. See if he wants to defend. Let's see. Next, we have a game called Musashi versus Cthulhu. I'm fairly sure that's how you pronounce that, Musashi. Seems to be a hack and slash button game. Might be one of those games where you stand in the middle and then monsters just always attack you left and right. There's a Stickman game, very similar to that. This is $3.99, bunch of language supported. Yep. Would I want to play another game like that, though? I don't think I really would. This doesn't look like there's much of a game other than that. Just standing in one place and hacking slash zombies. It's basically a clicker from the looks of it. Do I want to block? No block. Let's not attack with this one this time. And instead defend with this one next time. What's the odds of him defending if I attacked with that? Probably too high. Honestly, if I could just get Bola Citadel on the field. That would be the best thing. Gametsu has an article here. Toho Genso Mahjong launches January 30th in Japan. Another Toho spin-off game for the Nintendo eShop. None of those Mahjong games ever seem like they either don't come over to the West or they're not good if they do come over to the West. And they probably are never good. And the Mahjong games might be part of what China complains about so many games being gambling games. But I don't know if people really gamble with Mahjong that much or not. Draw a card. Need Bola Citadel. I desperately need Bola Citadel. Come on. Do I want to play that and put that back on the field? No, because I would pretty much be doing the same thing as I was already doing. Next we have a game on Steam called Little One, a visual novel, which kind of has a soft, I would guess, Western animator style to the characters. It doesn't seem like there's too much here. It's $8.49. It's English and German, which is an odd combination. No full audio. So how much do they want here? $8.49. And it looks like there might be a little bit of gameplay here. Maybe even a bit of puzzle concept. I guess I'll put this on the fall list and we'll see if people actually play it and actually like it. That'd be the easiest solution to this problem. Alright, so all I have to do is not die, which I'm about to do, and get enough people on the field before I don't die. Which I think I've just failed at. I think he'll just attack and I'll lose. But I think he was gonna attack and I was gonna lose anyways. So probably should have attacked with this. And then that would have given me 2 more health. And then he still would have attacked and I would have lost. Yep. I'm clearly not even paying enough attention to look 1 turn ahead. Because if I was, I would play better. just by default, I would play better if I was looking at my health at the end of each turn, at the beginning of each turn, and making sure I'm in the right position I want to be in. Yep. Just need to think things through more and put more focus on it if I want to win, and that's hard to do when you're trying to cover video game news. Next we have a game called Mad Tower Tycoon, which is another tycoon simulator that looks as good as every other tycoon simulator out there. Let's see, $13.49, bunch of languages supported. Just not the style of game I want to play though, so I'm not going to bother to put it on the follow list. I can't imagine them doing anything to the tower simulator style of games to make me interested. Gamatsu has an article here. Crayon Shin-chan, the storm-called flaming Kasakabe runner, is now available for Switch. Shin-chan is a cartoon that is not popular with parents from what I hear, but very popular with kids because he's a early Simpsons, Bart Simpson type child character. And we just have this like one image here, and it looks like it is an Infinite Runner game if I was to guess. I suspect that this game will not be coming to the West. It was previously available on iOS and Android games, I imagine only in Japan, and now it's coming to the Switch. So play this, and then we play this, and then we attack with everything. Next we have a game on Steam called Angry Food, which looks like a match 3 game. It's not even zoomed in well enough. It's just a lot of border for no reason. That's a bad gameplay design, UI design. $13.99, way too expensive. English only. And they're comparing it to Baba's You, which that comparison is not accurate. 2-2 Great Wolf. Or black. Let's just wait. Next we have a game on Steam called Ephemeral Tale, which looks like an RPG game. Possibly made at RPG Maker, but a little bit visually polished, better than that. Early access, $4.99, English only. It still doesn't really look that good, or like anything I'd want to play. Yeah, I really don't even know if there are that many RPG players out there that want to play old Super NES style RPGs. I feel like a lot of them have probably moved on to things like Atelier, Aisha, The Alchemist of Dusk DS. This seems like what they've decided to do is release some of the older Atelier games, which you probably don't really need to play, and you could just play the most recent one, which it'd be kind of hard to figure out which one that is. These are probably DS games. I'll put them on the follow list, but they're asking quite a lot, $35.99, and it's only Japanese full audio. So you kind of have to be a super fan of the series, and I'm a newcomer to the series at best. All right. Got nothing better I can do, so I'll put this on the field. Next we have Atelier, Esha, and Logi, Alchemist of the Dust. It seems like the Atelier series is always an RPG series where you end up becoming alchemists and running kind of an alchemist shop while also going out on adventures to get parts of the elements to sell. Again, $35.99 discounted, and third-party EULA, and Japanese only. So, like, if you buy the full bundle, you'll be spending $80 for these niche games that probably were popular, but not $35 when they're probably at least 2 or 3 years old. And I don't think these are full-on remasters that in some way justify that price hike. This is just Koei Tecmo and a Japanese company in general trying to screw people out of money. And then the third game we have here is Atelier Charlie, Alchemist of the Dust Sea, which is almost like Pokemon Red, Blue, and Green, and I wouldn't be surprised if there is a decent amount of overlap in gameplay mechanics and even land masses. Again, $35.99, English, Japanese only. None of these look bad. None of these look like they're worth that price though. Meanwhile, the most recent Atelier game would be which? There's so many listed here. Is it not even published by the same people? It may not even be a publisher. Koei Tecmo is also known for the Warriors series, another series that is totally built around bilking people out of money by selling basically the same thing over and over again. Here we go. Full Citadel time. And that did nothing for me. So this is the most recent in the series, Atelier Ryza, Ever Darkness in the Secret Hideout. And this one was the major success. And you can tell by the graphics that there's some major improvements that happened here. And this game alone is $41.99 and $50.39 if you want all the DLC, the deluxe edition. Again, still third-party EULA and still Japanese only. But this is a much better price for a much more modern game. A game made for consoles and not just a mobile 3DS. Oh man, I played wrong there. I totally played wrong there. Right, we can start by doing that. And seeing what happens. And honestly, they probably will make a new Atelier game next year. And that one, if it's as good as Atelier Ryza, probably would be justifiable to just jump to that one. Moving on, we have a game called Super Mega Space Blast Special Turbo. That is a crazy name for an asteroids clone.
Breathe and listen
$4.49, English full audio allegedly. Yeah, nothing there.
We're fit enough to survive.
Play this. And can't do anything else. Gamatsu has God Eater 3's Traversing the Past episode film trailer. So God Eater 3 as a series is still getting bits of DLC. These are the creatures that the people that have to fight the giant monsters, which I confuse with like Code Vein and God Hand, which I don't believe there actually has been a God Hand game in recent time. It's just the names are so similar.
We're gonna tear you apart.
And if you don't get it right the first time in my head, then I'll probably never get it right. Remember it right. Well, I am in trouble. But maybe I can fix this. Maybe I can turn this around. Alright, so we do this and do white. And then we do this. Do this. And then we do this. And I don't think I want to make a mistake there, so I'm going to instead do this. Put that on the board. And then I'm going to bring back another person in the graveyard. Kill this planeswalker. How many do I need more? 7. I have C. Yep. Right now I have 5, 6, 7, 8. I would need 2 more. And this would cost me 6 health to get to 2 more. I could probably wait a turn. Decent chance that I just run into a land after that anyways. Next we have a game on Steam called Nova 1492, which looks like maybe it's a real-time strategy game. Looks like it might have been some old game, but it's not recognizable. They say it's early access, so it's gotta be a brand new game. It's free to play. It's Korean full audio, so this has to just be kind of a low-effort Korean game, which you don't say low-effort. I don't say low-effort Korean games very often. I think we've got a victory here. Let's just keep on putting people on the ground, on the field. Okay, we've got it. Creatures to do 10 damage plus another. And that's like the first time the Bolas Citadel strategy has worked today. Yeah, I think we'll go one more game and that'll probably be it for the stream. Let's see. Gamatsu has an article here. Genshin Impact adds a Switch version and a Of the Land Amidst Monoliths area trailer. It had previously been announced for PS4, PC, smartphones, and that it's a top article. I did not. I feel like I've heard of Genshin Impact. Didn't realize it looked like this. So I'm a little iffy even on showing this. It's a Switch game, so it's gotta be kid friendly, right? That's how that works. This looks nice. Although this probably is just a opening cinematic. It is kind of almost a completely different animation style on the characters versus the backgrounds. Like, got to click the play button. Let's see. Gamatsu has an article here for PC, PS4, and Switch. Katana Kami, A Way of the Samurai story details swordsmith cycle and systems and flood of customers mode, which I have no idea what this game is. It looks like it's probably some kind of shop simulator game, some Chinese shop simulator game with maybe some hack and slash elements also, but does not look particularly interesting. And I haven't heard anything about it before. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Vile Matter, which looks like it's probably an asset flip horror game from the looks of it. It does kind of seem like you're just going all over the place to different locations, and you're just spray painting things. Is that you're lighting things up and spray painting things? Is that what this game is? Yeah, this just looks like asset flips. $4.99 English only. I'm not gonna bother to put it on a file list. I guess I've finally figured out how to be particularly cruel to a lot of these games and just not bother with them, because so many of these are so bad, and it's pretty obvious to just judge a book by the cover and you'll be fine. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam that's just a bunch of Asian characters. Looks like it might be a simplistic Chinese kids visual novel. Looks like they're telling the Little Red Robin Hood story with the boy there being the wolf. Wolf ears. English not supported, free to play, Chinese only. Doesn't look terrible for a free to play, I guess, Chinese version of Little Red Riding Hood. Let's see. And then we have Darwin Project on Steam, which I've heard people talk about it as a player versus player multiplayer game trying to be a Battleborn clone. Can we get some of these images to actually load and play? Yeah, here's an image. There's an image. There's an image. People in like orange jumpsuits running around, kind of like a Fortnite style game. It's free to play. It's online PvP. It has in-app purchases. Is it gonna beat Fortnite? Probably not, if I was to guess, but we'll see. So then that brings me to the Humble Bundle store. Let's see if we finally got a new Humble Bundle. There's a games bundle. Let's see. What is it? What is it called? Humble Sweet Farm Bundles. What it's called. We have a game here called Niche, a genetic survival game. Magic Cat. This would be $1 to unlock a Steam account. Evergarden. I don't think I own any of those games, so there's something there. You pay more than the average of $7.25, which already seems pretty high. You get a Cleanox, Ultimate Chicken Horse, and Samaroost 3, which I think I do want Samaroost 3, and it's always been a little overpriced, so that still might be a deal. But then $10 gets you Stardew Valley, and that's probably going to push the average price up higher and higher. It seems like it already has pushed it up fairly high. First Strike and First Strike, so can't really do anything there. what do we want to do? First strike. Mentor. Yeah, I probably should not wear out my voice today. Book on Python and machine learning, which I don't know how much that would work together. Yeah, a bunch of book bundles, but no other games bundle. No big surprise there. Then that brings me back to my Twitter feed, and let's see if there's any bits of news. Apparently Magic the Gathering Arena is having issues affecting the pre-orders of Theros. The HTC has taken $200 off the Vive Pro price tag permanently. OpenCritic has an article about Crash Team Racing. Alright, let's do this. We already talked about Mobius Final Fantasy being shut down. Apparently all of those Atelier games have been bundled into a trilogy deluxe pack that's on the Switch, so that seems to be where they're really interested in getting some sales. Let's see. There's a report that the Valve Index headset sold out globally as the Half-Life Alyx nears launch, so nobody can get it. Which, if Half-Life Alyx is coming out that soon, I didn't think it was coming out that soon. It's probably not that big of a game or that long of a game, particularly being a VR game. That would make sense. See if there's any other things to mention. Patrick Stewart has nothing to do with video games, but boy, does his voice sound terrible. I don't know how you can have him be the actor in Picard. It sounds like his voice is totally worn out at this point. And it's sad, certainly, but he is an old person. So the thing he is known for is being a theatrical actor who could give these bold speeches and now if his voice is going to crack, as mine often does, like, that's going to be not particularly fun to listen to, or like, you kind of don't want an experience where you're constantly feeling sad for the person that's talking. Let's do this. One counter. That's all I can do. And that just brings me to the Twitch Brine page at this point, and this will be our last game. Let's just see if there's actually some Magic the Gathering pack or something that I've failed to claim. As far as I can tell, so I really think that probably is just an advertisement. He stole my guy? Seriously? Please let me bring that back. Seems like Borderlands 3 with the Twitch Prime is going to release throughout the course of an entire year a significant number of Steam keys, shift keys type things, but it doesn't seem like they're gonna really do anything else. Or do anything big. Yeah, I'm looking at the Twitch Prime stuff and there's nothing there. No more Magic Arena. Yeah, I already collected it. That's what I thought I had done. I'm bringing back this character first. Then put a 1/1 counter on that character to keep it alive. And then just attack with everything else. So, play this. Gain 5 life. Attack with this and this because I kind of don't care. Yeah, for Wednesday it's probably as slow as it normally is. So we just covered all the news, and unfortunately we're really bad on the victories today. I'll probably spend the rest of the day just trying to get some videos uploaded. Yeah, if I could get like 5 videos uploaded in the course of time, that would be helpful. Yes, we've got a victory here. There's no way he's gonna block all that. And it seems like the stream went out fine. So, yeah, that's good. Alright, well, maybe at 5 in the morning Central Time. Maybe at 6. It probably would behoove me not to try at 5 and see if the servers are actually working. I wouldn't be surprised if none of the servers and nothing works and it takes them several hours to upload and then actually get the new expansion out. But yeah, tomorrow we'll be opening 50 packs. Probably not doing this, but maybe there will be something new in its place, because there are several, at least 2 major events here that would be disappearing. I'm kind of expecting new artwork and new ads and maybe just kind of a major improvement in general. We'll be opening, I guess, 53 packs since we already have 3, and we'll have to look at the store and see if we can buy the mastery with gems or with gold. If it costs like 50,000 gold to get the mastery, then we won't be opening 50 packs at that point. But yeah, that's going to be it for this stream. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.